I work very closely with Ms. Cox. We will help you through this entire process, so don't worry as much, okay? All right, so yeah, next slide. So just today, again, we're gonna go over some resources. I'm not gonna dive too deep into the resources. Each of these have a link, so you will be sent this presentation. If you RSVP'd for today, you'll get that sent from me. However, Ms. Cox also has a copy, so she can send that out within the group as well. So the presentation has links embedded into each of the slides, and I'll try to point them out as well and throughout those slides. And then we're gonna go over different degrees and certificates at CSN if that is gonna be one of your goals, as well as the most important part, searching and enrolling in classes, all right? Next. So I always like to start my presentations with, what is a dumb question, except usually this is on a PowerPoint where you don't see the answer yet. So the answer is a question that is never asked, right? In this process, there's a lot of information. Being a college student, there's a lot of information to absorb. And I don't absorb everything all at once, it takes time to process. But my most important rule is don't be afraid to ask the questions. Even if you ask it multiple times, you can ask me the same question 100 times, I'm gonna answer it as if you asked it the first. Don't be afraid to ask me questions, don't be afraid to ask Ms. Cox questions, don't be afraid to ask your professor questions, your peers, your support team at home, whatever the case may be. Don't let those questions just sit there and fester up into that ball of anxiety that I know a lot of us probably do in our heads, right? Those intrusive thoughts. So ask your questions. If you're nervous, ask who you feel safe with, but ask your questions, all right? Number one rule. Okay, all right, next one. All right, so this is just a brief list of all the CSN student resources. I've kind of highlighted the most important ones, so you already should be taking math and English placements if you haven't already. Advising is at the very top. That advising handbook link is really cool because it incorporates all of our student services along with some information on degree seeking, declaring majors, all of the things that you'll go over with an academic advisor when it's your turn to meet with them. Advising probably will not happen for you all until the fall semester because Pinecrest has already the classes laid out for you this first semester with math, English, communications, and ALS. So those are 4 college classes. If you're wanting to add a different one or another one, so talk to me first. We'll go over what I recommend first semester, and then we'll start setting up advising appointments in about September, October, so that if you are getting an associate's degree, that's when you're gonna start that academic plan. But your first semester is pretty much set out, okay? Right now it's peak season in advising. You're probably not gonna get an appointment. They're probably booked, but if you have a question, talk to me first this first round, and then I'm gonna introduce you to advising in the fall, okay? Food pantry, hygiene products, student school supplies. So our campus life team in our student government area at the Henderson campus does have all free. There's free food, there's free products, there's free pens, papers, notepads, highlighters, whatever you need to be successful in college, we have that available to you. The only thing that you have to have is a CSN student ID, which is $2. $2, you can either pay that in your MyCSN or you can pay that in cash only at the cashier's office. Once you have that receipt that you paid for your student ID, you take that to the student government office, kind of highlighted at the bottom, where they will take your picture and provide you that ID. You do this every semester. So you'll have a fall ID, you'll have a spring ID, and then senior year you'll do the same, or junior year if you're sophomores. So the student ID is also important to check out anything in the library, to check out books or whatever you may need there, a laptop if needed. The library has laptops available at 2 hours at a time that you can check out if needed, but we also have a ton of computer labs on campus. We have computers in the library, we have computers in our computer lab in the C building. So if you are in between classes or you want to go hang out over the weekend, they're available. So is our Centers for Academic Success, which is our tutoring center. Free, all free. They can help you with papers, they can help you with math prep, they can help you review things, science, whatever the class, communications. You're gonna take public speaking this fall. They can help you with your speeches. So make sure you also utilize the Centers for Academic Success. They're open 7 days a week, even on the weekends, okay? They are available online as well. The rest of it, the only other one I wanted to point out at the moment, so you can kind of view all these things, but is the Disability Resource Center. So the DRC. If you have a 504 IEP, if there's some sort of accommodation that you need, you actually have to submit documentation with CSN every semester for all the classes that you enroll into. So once you're enrolled in classes, you should be setting up a meeting with our disability resource specialists to go over what those accommodations look like, whether it's extra test taking time, and you need a note taker, whatever the accommodation may be. They will work with you to submit your documentation, create your letter, and then that letter gets shared with all of your professors so that they know that you have these accommodations. And if you don't have that letter, the professors do not have to do anything. So that is why it's very important. And you have to do this every semester when you enroll in a new set of classes. Okay? So that is also linked on there. And then of course, if you're taking online classes, we have online support systems all throughout. The Centers for Academic Success, our online learning centers, all of that is also available on that list there. Okay? And then really briefly, no, go ahead. You're good. I wanted to just briefly touch on a tour. So I believe we scheduled a tour in August. So you can wait for that. We're gonna do that group tour in August. Or you can go over the summer, you can sign up with the recruitment team, or you can do a self-tour. Henderson is very, very small, very nice. It's a very beautiful campus. The main buildings, C, B, and A. B houses all the Disability Resource Center, advising, registrar, all of those student services. The C building has the tutoring center, the computer lab, and the bookstore. And then the student union has the student government where you get your student ID and the pantry. The rest of it is all classrooms. So the H building is mostly like science classes, and the library. The H building is in the library. The library's in the H building. So take a second, and maybe if you have time over the summer, go check it out. Or again, wait for our tour in August and we'll go over all of that again. Okay. Questions so far? Awesome. All right. So now degrees, modalities. Okay, next. So under dual credit, so I am the manager of dual credit. So under dual credit, what we like to call, we have 3 academies. So we have the Early College Academy, which are those of you that want to try to get that certificate or associates by the time you graduate. A typical degree is 60 credits. It's about 20 classes. So you would have to take extra classes. You would have to pay for extra classes in order to get your degree with CSN, if that is the goal, okay? CTE Academy, if you want to do more hands-on things like aviation, welding, advanced manufacturing, fire science, paramedic, we have all these different other fields that are more hands-on, what we call career and technical education. So we do have those types of pathways. We have skill certificates, certificates of achievements, and associates of applied sciences in those areas. So depending on what you want to do, you might not need a full associate's. You might just need a certificate. Who knows? Computer science or computer cybersecurity, those are very popular with just certificates, and then you build yourself up within the industry. So there's different pathways for everybody. Those that just want to take what you need for your high school graduation, so the core 15, so those are your gen eds, like your math, your English, your comm, what Ms. Cox recommends every semester as a junior, and then what they need as a senior, so government, econ, all of those. Those are just gen ed classes that you need, no matter, and they can go towards any degree most of the time, depending on your degree. If it's business, we have a little different econ class, but these are just core 15. You're getting ahead of the game, but your goal is not necessarily to get that associate's. Your goal is to just take those credits and move on to your next college of choice or your career. So those are the 3 different academies that we kind of have under our umbrella of dual credit. Okay. Go ahead. So CSN has what we consider transferable degrees and non-transferable degrees. Now, when I say non-transferable, it doesn't mean that it couldn't transfer to another college or university. Some credits might under that degree, but some credits might not. So non-transferable, when I talk about this, I'm talking about our B courses. So if you're in an Associates of Applied Science or Certificate of Achievement, let's say within those CTE areas, right? We have what we call B classes, so welding 100B, Math 104B. So if it has a B at the end of a course number, the likelihood of it transferring to a regionally accredited college like UNLV, Nevada State, UNR, USC, wherever, is slim. Well, the majority of the time, maybe nationally accredited institutions might take those classes, like GCU, Grand Canyon University, nationally accredited other ones. So GCU is the only one I have in my head right now. They might take those credits. But if it's regionally accredited, like the likelihood of not, it won't fully transfer. Gen Ed classes, the math, the English, all of those, as long as it doesn't have a B, will transfer. English 101, English 102, Math 126, 127, so on and so forth. Communications is usually required for almost every degree, even the applied sciences. So on one side, you'll see the Associates of Applied Sciences, their certificates, skill certificates, Associates of General Studies, and then we do have bachelor programs at CSN, so depending on your pathway, you might be with us the whole time. You never know. So there is a list of bachelor programs right at that end there. We've just added a ton in environmental conservation, management, geographical something. So there's a good chunk of bachelor programs we do have. Culinary, we have that all the way through bachelor's. Nursing we now have through bachelor's. So depending on, again, what your pathway is, you'll talk to that academic advisor in the fall, and we'll create that pathway, and we'll create what you take per every semester throughout until the end of that program of your choice, okay? Then we have our transferable degrees. So these are the degrees that we know will guarantee transfer to those regionally accredited institutions like UNLV, Nevada State, UNR. If you're going out of state, we'll have a further talk. But these are the degrees that you want to be under if you are going for that. So typically Pinecrest students will fall under these three: Associates of Arts, Associates of Science, and Associates of Business. So business, we only have one. So whether you're going into accounting, actuary, entrepreneurship, management, with hospitality, we have the Associates of Business. Associates of Arts has different areas. So we have an Associates of Arts General. So that has 17 credits of open electives. If you're not quite sure what you want to do, but you know what you want to go for an associate's, the AA is always what I recommend, because then you can take classes to explore electives, right? Or you can get more in depth. So you can have an emphasis. You can have a psychology Associates of Arts, a history Associates of Arts, secondary or elementary education Associates of Arts. But that gets more in depth, and those have required classes. And I can't guarantee, depending on those majors, if those classes will be held at Henderson, or if you might have to travel to, like, North Las Vegas has most of our education classes, or they're online, or psychology is all online. We do have some degrees that are all online. So again, it just depends. So when you're speaking with your advisor, make sure you ask, hey, are these classes, can all they be taken at Henderson or online, or do I have to travel? Okay. Associates of Science, the majority of time in the Associates of Science field, that's what we recommend. Advisors might review the Biology Associates of Science or the Physical Science Associates of Science if you mention engineering, med school, or any of those tracks. However, the likelihood of you getting through those programs by the end of high school, if that is your goal, is not ideal. So we do the Associates of Science, and we get you to get that Associates of Science and what you can get done within your 2 years with CSN, or potentially 3 if you're sophomore. And then you take those and you move on and you complete that bachelor program, and then you're ahead of the game. So if you, because physical science and engineering, that there's physics and chemistry and biology that all have to be done, and the likelihood of getting it done while you're in high school is just not, and it's a lot of work. We don't want to put that on you at this time. So Associates of Science is really the main one that you'll probably focus on in that area. Okay? All right. Go ahead and just drop below that. Okay, so this is an example of a degree sheet, and then the link to the 25, 26 degrees is live. There might be some updates. It's unofficial at the moment, but it should be official by July. So all of our degrees and certificates are listed there if you want to browse that and talk about, maybe write some down before you meet with that advisor in the fall semester. But the degree sheets are what you want to really look at. So we have degree sheets, like I said, most of our associates are 60 credits. 1/2 of the degree is your general education requirements. So that's math, English, science, humanities, U.S. Nevada Constitution, so on and so forth. So you have your gen ed, and then depending on that degree, like I said, if you get specific, your special requirements or your core requirements might be very specific. So this is an example of an Associates of Arts. So on the gen ed side, you can see you need 6 to 8 credits of English, 3 credits of math. I think that's all that's on there. So how many classes do you think 3 credits is? One class. So with English, you're doing 2. You're doing English 101, English 102. So that'll equal 6 credits. Unless you're doing English 100 for any reason, then that's where that 8 credits come in, because English 100 is 5 credit class. So each requirement will tell you how many credits you need for each requirement. On this side, the special program side, the Associates of Arts requires 9 credits of social sciences in different areas. So that means it requires 3 social sciences in different subjects. So you could do a psychology, a sociology, and an anthropology. A criminal justice, an HHP, healthy living, or women's studies. So those have different requirements. So it gives you options, but you only have to pick 1 to 2 to 3 of those options depending on how many credits it requires for that requirement. So that's kind of how you read the degree sheets and you know what is required. And that's what the advisors will also go over with you. Okay? All right. Nice. Okay. Course modalities. Okay, so at CSN, we have different modalities. So obviously we have in-person classes, right? So if it's completely in person, you will be going to class. Our typical classes are 2 days a week for an hour and 20 minutes each. So you would either have a Monday and Wednesday class, that's the same class. So let's say English 101 is on Mondays and Wednesdays at 11:30 a.m. And then you could have a Tuesday, Thursday class, let's say math, you know. So you can either set your classes up 2 days a week when you go all day, or you can set your classes up Monday through Thursday of those 2 days a week classes. If you are comfortable sitting in a longer period class, our 1 day a week classes are about 3 hours. So if it's a 3 credit class, it's a 3 credit hour, right? So you have to be in class for 3 hours. So 1 day a week is almost 3 hours with about a 10-minute break in between. But it's a longer class time. So you have to be able to sit there and learn and be comfortable in a longer class period. So there are 1 day a week classes for in-person, okay? This requires you to go to class, show up, be present, participate, all of that, right? Online, we have 2 different modalities. So we have our web online, which is our general traditional online platform. So you are responsible, you are diligent in reading the syllabus, you are diligent in reading you're making sure you meet your dates and deadlines of your assignments. Every professor is different, so you might have different dates and deadlines for one class to another class. You might have multiple dates throughout a week. You might have to do a discussion post due on Wednesdays, the follow up to your peers by Friday, and then your assignments by Sunday. So each class is very different, so making sure you're paying attention to that syllabus, that calendar, your assignments of weekly modules, so you know what's due. There's no interaction with the professor unless you email them. There's no interaction with your peers other than discussion posts. So that is a traditional online class. A web remote class will have times and days listed. It is still an online course, but you are required to log in to a specific platform that the professor requires during those days and times. So whether that's Zoom or Big Blue Button or Microsoft Teams, whatever that professor chooses to use, they'll list the technical requirements in the syllabus. That is where you will meet with the class. So you have to make sure if you're looking at web remote that you are available during those days and times, okay? And then we have hybrid. So hybrid is 1 to 2 days a week in person with the rest of the work online. So it's the best of both of those worlds. Any questions on modalities?
I just want to remind you that all students are required to take at least 2 in-person classes. Hybrid would count as an in-person class since you do have 1 day a week on a hybrid class. So both a hybrid and in-person would count for that requirement.
Awesome.
For your first semester, is it all online, all in person, or is it choose?
Choose. So like Ms. Cox just said, so you have to have at least 2 in-person classes. So if you're taking math, English, comm, and ALS, that's 4 classes that you have to schedule, right? So what if ALS is typically an online class, so it's not really offered in person at the moment. So that's one online class. Communications, public speaking. If you take that online, I'll tell you right now, then more than likely you'll have to record yourself in front of your friends and family of at least 8 people. So how do you feel about that versus going to a communication class and just giving your speeches to your peers? So think about that as a difference between online and in-person for communications. English, we have both in-person and online, and then math, we also have both in-person and online. If you know that math might be a little bit of a struggle, you might want to do it in person, would be my recommendation. Okay? So you're thinking about that as you look through the schedule this weekend before you enroll in classes next Wednesday. Yes? Academic and life success. So it's kind of like our college intro class or like a first year seminar. So it's about that transition from high school to college.
Is there like a maximum that they can take, or are they limited to how many classes they can take the first semester?
So 4 is what Pinecrest will pay for.
We'll pay for either 3 or 4, whether if you're in math, we'll pay for 4. If you're not in math, we'll pay for 3. I wouldn't recommend more than 5 classes though. Typically if you took 5 classes each semester, then that's enough to get an associate's degree. And so you don't want to push it, I would say too.
Yeah.
So if you're not taking math, maybe take that 4th class extra, or if you are taking math, then maybe go ahead and take that 5th class.
Four classes for a CSN student is full-time. That is a full-time student. So think about that too.
As far as summer classes, usually there's summer classes. So are they allowed to take, if we're paying for that, 5th class, could they be taking that 5th class as a summer course to get the extra credits to get to their associates by graduation?
Yes, so we do have students that will sometimes do, like, they'll take 2 summer classes now, 4 in the fall, 4 in the spring, 2 next summer, 4 in the fall, 4 in the spring if they're over a 2-year period. Or if you're doing 4 to 5 classes each semester, you could take 1 or 2 classes in the summer between junior and senior year. So that's what the advisors do. They help you create an academic plan from start to finish and show you what that looks like for each semester. I will say, and we're gonna get to a tuition page, summer is not discounted to a high school student. So it's full price. Fall and spring is discounted. So keep that in mind, and I'll show you that too. Okay, modalities. Go ahead. So online support, like I said, if you are taking an online class, utilize those resources. The Centers for Academic Success, our librarians, our online support team. If you're struggling to navigate our Canvas for some reason, that's okay, it happens a lot. Reach out and ask for that help, okay? Know where to find your weekly modules, your syllabus, your tests, your quizzes, all of those links within each of your classes within Canvas. The syllabus, like I said before, will have the technical requirements that are needed for an online class. So whether that's, if you're using an Apple computer for any reason, majority of the time you're probably gonna have to download like Google or Google Chrome or Firefox, Adobe, Java, I don't know. It'll list it in the syllabus. So you have to make sure you have those technical components of whatever computer you are using. I highly do not recommend that you take your classes through your phone. Please don't. Sometimes you accidentally submit it before you're ready. That's it. Can't take it back. Sometimes it's just wonky on a phone. You can view things in Canvas on your phone, but just don't complete your classes that way. Use a computer. Laptop at home, desktop at home, at the campus. Like I said, you have access to all those free computers. Utilize a computer to complete your online courses. You all have Chromebooks. There you go. Okay? So don't do it on your phone. Okay, how many have you logged in to Go CSN yet? Yes. Okay, so you see all those pretty tiles on there, maybe. All those tiles are everything that you have access to, but these are the top 6 that I'm kind of just highlighting, and then I'm gonna also highlight Canvas, of course. So really it's 7. So I'm gonna start at the bottom and work my way up. So the CSN AI guide. So this is a new, as of this year, tile. So it's our version of a chat bot. So if you are afraid to ask me a question or you just want to know for yourself, you can ask the AI any question you want about CSN and they'll usually provide the answer. Don't be weird with it. Make it a legit question. Okay? I don't know what it'll answer, but it's there. Your student email. So as a CSN student, you do have a student email through Outlook because the CSN uses all of Microsoft. So Outlook. You can download Outlook to your phone. You can have it forwarded to an email you do check. I highly recommend that you do check your CSN student email at least once or twice a week. Whether it's events, whether it's something going on, whether it's a professor. So the professors are required to only communicate with you through your Canvas or your CSN student email. If you use your personal email, more than likely they will not respond. Okay? So make sure you know how to log into that. Usually Go CSN and My CSN, mostly everything will be your student ID number, so your NSHE number, plus the password you created when you validated your account. However, the email has an extra little username to it. So it's your NSHE number @ student.csn.edu as part of the username and then the same password. So that's how you get into your email. To give out your email, it's just your first name dot last name. If you have a common name, it probably has a number at the end. You can also view that within your My CSN if you forgot it when you validated your account. Okay? So that's your CSN student email. My Coyote Success is another kind of just success tool. So it's a 50+ videos, almost like YouTube style or workshop style, that are available to you, whether it's test taking strategies, note taking strategies, what's your learning style, because we all learn very differently. How can we study to the best of our abilities and how our brain works, right? Are you ready for an online class? That's one of the workshops on there. Are you prepared for an online class? I mean, there's so many on there. So those are available to you 24/7. How to write a paper, how to cite, how to be knowledgeable in certain areas. So those are always available to you on top of all the other resources that we have, okay? So that's a good one. My Coyote Plan, that's eventually how you will sign up with an academic advisor in the fall semester. So it'll have you go there, log in. It'll be, the weird thing about this one is it'll be the same login that you used when you first applied to CSN. So that might be your personal email. It should have an NSHE login now, we're updating it. So it should just say put your NSHE number in and then it'll have you log in and schedule the appointment. We're gonna go over all of that in the fall semester, but that is how you make the advising appointments, is through My Coyote Plan. Okay. Mobile safety. Okay, so this is a cool one. So in the app in Go CSN, you can list as many phone numbers, emails, however you want to get emergency notifications from our UPD. So we have our own university police department that are on all of our campuses. If something is happening, they usually send out those notices to those emails and phone numbers that you list. So this is a good way for you to list your adults' emails, your adults' phone numbers, because they can't access your Go CSN, that's yours, right? So list those information. However, we also have it in the App Store on all iOS and Android. So the mobile CSN Mobile Safety app can also be downloaded as an app. If you ended up taking a late night course and you wanted to walk to your car, they can do that through the app. If you wanted to report something anonymously, they can do that through the app. So that app is also a good thing to maybe download to your phone just as a safety precaution. Okay? But in the Go CSN tile is where you can list all the different phone numbers and stuff. Okay? And then the famous one, My CSN. So in a minute, I'm gonna dive deeper into My CSN, but this is where you will be searching and enrolling in classes. If you are paying for a portion of your classes, this is where you will do it. If you need to update your demographic data or anything, this is that main student hub of My CSN with all your information and courses enrolled and previous course histories and unofficial transcripts that you can request at any time. All of that is in My CSN. Okay? And then this is what Canvas looks like. So again, classes start August 25th. So if you're in an online class, that class will open up probably either 12 a.m. or 8 a.m. on August 25th. So that first week is when you're going to read that syllabus, understand what it's about, get prepared for it. I'm going to dive deeper into some other things that I'm going to recommend, but that's what Canvas looks like. Okay? If for any reason you've forgotten your password or you're having issues logging into certain applications, anything technological, we have our Office of Technology Services, OTS. So their number, their email, all of that is on there. In your Go CSN, you do have a tile with them and you can submit tickets, but the fastest way to get something done is to email or call. They are open 24/7. Phone. Wise, I think. So any technological issues, definitely give them a call. If for any reason, and this happens, and I don't know why it happens, if you can log into Go CSN just fine, and you use that same login for My CSN, and for some reason My CSN's not letting you in, call the bottom number, the My CSN call center, the 5555, option 4. They will unlock it. I don't know why it gets locked, it just happens, they said. Who knows? But go ahead and call them too. If you ever need any help with My CSN navigation or anything in My CSN that looks weird, you don't know what it is, you can either ask me or you can also call them, but they are not open 24/7. They're only open Monday through Friday, 9 to 7. So definitely keep that in mind. So those are just some technological numbers I want you to have on hand if you run into any issues, okay?
And as much as we love to help you, we cannot help you with those things. If your login's not working
Yep.
or all that stuff, I'm happy to sit with you and make the phone call if you're afraid. But it is good skills for you to just be able to make that phone call and they can set it up for you and get it fixed ASAP.
Yes. All right, any questions so far on that? Sweet. Okay. All right, the fun part. Go ahead, next. All right, so when you're first logging into, so the first screen is login is Go CSN. The next one is that My CSN tile. When you log into My CSN, you wanna click on that Student Center. If you've already logged in, you've already seen the first 2 questions that they ask you. They're gonna ask you about direct deposit. Just press OK. You don't have to worry about that now. That's usually just for financial aid refund purposes. And then, or if you do end up like paying for a class and then you drop it and you want your money back, you can do that direct deposit or they'll just put it back on the payment that you used. The second question is about a tax form, 1098-T. So that is a form that will populate into your My CSN every tax season at the end of January or early February. So that might be something you have to give to your adult for their taxes if you are paying classes. So that'll give you how much you paid directly for college classes. Not what the school paid, but what you paid, okay? So just accept that too. So press OK to direct deposit and accept the 1098-T. That's all you have to do to make those communications go away. Once you're in My CSN, go ahead. You're gonna see your Student Center, and this is kind of what your Student Center looks like. Mine looks a little different because I'm technically not a student, but this should be the synopsis, right? On the right hand side, so I'm gonna start with the communication box. So this is the box that has like your admissions letter, your validation letter. If any CSN officially sends you anything, it's usually located there as well, but also sent to your CSN student email. So you can look at those communications at any point in time. The box down below where it says enrollment dates, you'll also get communications about future enrollment dates. So as a new student, you have to enroll with everybody else on May 21st. But starting in November, when you go to enroll in spring classes, you're gonna have a specific date and time assigned to you for priority enrollment. And so that would be earlier than all the new students that are now starting in the spring semester. So you'll get those communications in that communication center about mid-October for the fall and mid-March for summer, mid-April for fall. And they will email it again to your CSN student email as well, but they'll also list in that box an enrollment dates, right? So right now, if you were to click on enrollment date details, you would see that it says probably May 21st. If for some reason you have an earlier date, I don't know why, but take advantage of it. But the majority of you as new students should have May 21st on there. It does open up at midnight on May 21st to enroll in classes. If you happen to be awake, feel free. But if not, just enroll next on Wednesday morning when you wake up. Okay, you can. What I'm going to show you today is putting those classes in your shopping cart so you're prepared. Okay. The holds box. So once I get a roster from Ms. Cox at everybody, all your entry numbers, everybody who's participating in dual enrollment, I'm going to be putting a good hold on your account. It's a positive hold. And that hold isn't going to prevent you from enrolling in classes. It's not going to do anything except tell the cashier's office not to drop you for non-payment. So at CSN, if that hold isn't on a student's account and they don't pay by the payment deadline, they're dropped. So we're going to avoid that by me putting a hold on your account. So if you see that on your account, you're good to go. If you don't see that on your account by August, definitely let us know. Because payment is due August 4th and I don't want you to be dropped from your classes. But we've been really good about it. So if you see that, great. If you see a different hold, something that might say, if you are under 16, it could have a bio hold for being under 16. Once I get that list from Ms. Cox, I will be also waiving those. It's not gonna disappear, but once I waive it, it's not gonna prevent you from enrolling in classes. Okay? So I need that, I need that list.
Because I was sick.
Yes.
I'm gonna get it by tonight.
Okay. I will have that done before you enroll May 21st. So yeah, so you could have it, or the bio hold could also say you need to do a name change, or maybe you put your date of birth in wrong when you apply to CSN. It could have various holds, so make sure you're checking your hold box to ensure that there's nothing there that's going to prevent you from enrolling on May 21st. And if you have questions on that, let me know, but you can also click on the details. So if you click into the details of your hold, click on the hold you want to look at, it'll tell you what to do. Okay?
Is it 16 as of now or 16 as of when the fall?
Now. Yeah. Once you turn 16, that hold will completely be gone. But until you turn 16, it stays on there. I just have to waive it because you're part of our partnership. Okay? To-do list, same thing. To-do lists don't prevent you from enrolling, but there might be things listed there. Again, if it's something that might pertain to you, you can handle it. If it's something that doesn't or you're confused, please ask me. There's various to-do list items, but as a high school applicant, you shouldn't have that many. When you transition from high school or college, you might have more. But you shouldn't. To-do list and enrollment. Okay, parents, guardians, adults. At the very bottom is a third-party release link. Your student must log into their MyCSN and add you as a third-party person if you want to be able to talk to me or anybody at CSN besides professors on your behalf. Or on your student's behalf, I'm sorry. So I can only talk to Ms. Cox about your students, and I can only talk to your students under the FERPA Act. So no matter if they're under 18, because they are now a college student under our college umbrella, they are covered under the FERPA Act. So in order for me to talk to you, I need their permission, essentially. So please have them add you to that. Students can add and take away at any point in time during their college semester. So that's in there, that's their MyCSN. So that's all I'm gonna say there. Okay? All right. On the bottom, contact information. Always make sure your home address, your mailing address, your email, your phone number is all up to date. If you have a preferred name, you can add that there. So you had to apply with your legal name, but if you have a preferred name, you can put your preferred name on there and it'll show up on all the teachers' rosters. It'll show up in MyCSN that way. And so that is something you have ability to do in here. The finance part, again, is where once you enroll in classes, it'll show the full term. You won't pay your portion of classes until we process this, our side of billing with Ms. Cox. So we'll let you know when to pay for those classes by the end of December for the fall semester. My goal is to have it done before November, before you enroll in spring classes, okay? Yes, this is a goal. I can't hear you.
There's this thing called passphrase. What's that?
What's the pass?
Passphrase?
Yeah.
Oh,
passphrase.
when you do the third party, you have to add, you just create a passphrase. I don't know that anyone
Oh,
ever asked
yes.
that.
So it's like pasta, or like you create a code. So if your parent calls in, they're gonna ask for the passcode. They're gonna be, what's the passcode?
So you just agree with your parent on what that is, so that your parent knows it. When they call, they can
Yeah.
say, "Oh, this is the passphrase."
Yeah.
So usually, like when I have you set it up for me, which we usually do as a team, and when we do boot camp, I usually put as like Cougars 25 or something like that, you know.
Oh, there's this thing called Select Office.
Yeah, so you can select as many as you want when you do the third party. So individually, if we have questions for that, we'll do it after. I just want to get through this real quick. Okay, finances. Okay, so at the top, when you're enrolled in classes, that's where it'll list under the academic section. The academic section is also where, in that advising handbook, is how you can declare a major if you know which major associates you want. It's also how we can search and enroll for classes as well. So go to the next slide. So searching for classes, you can do it on either side of your My CSN Student Center. So you can search on either end. So you're gonna press that search. When you are ready.
If you haven't gotten your computer out yet, get those out and start logging in.
Yeah, you want me to get, I'll give you a minute to do that so I can get some water if you want to log into your My CSN. Okay. So in your My CSN, when you click on search for classes, the number one thing you want to make sure that you are searching correctly is the term. And that's at the very top under College of Southern Nevada. So the term should be fall 2025. Because we're looking for fall 2025 classes. I will say this right now because I just looked at it yesterday for a different school. Math 126, there's only one section right now. I'm trying to get more added. And English 101 has some sections. Not for the school I was, because they needed it in the afternoon, but there's 11 a.m. sections. So there are certain sections. So being on time on the 21st will guarantee your spot into a course. I'm going to work on adding more as well. And then definitely look at those online for at least 2 of your classes. So I'm working on that, I promise. If you are in Math 126, we're going to add more, okay? But in the meantime, as you're searching, put things in your shopping cart, you will enroll, you will choose the ones you want on enrollment day, and then as we go through the summer, if there's more, I'm going to be emailing them out. So definitely make sure you signed up for, and when she sends me the roster, I'll have your information as well. But I'll send communications over the summer because I work all summer. Okay? All right, so the term is fall 2025. Below that is the course subject. So the subject is going to be the acronym of the course you're looking for. So if it's academic and life success, it's going to be ALS. So ALS is the subject. 101 is the course number, which is a smaller box below that. If it's communications, COM, COM, 101. ENG, 101 for English. Math is just the word math. 126 or whichever one, right? So as you're searching for classes, you're doing the subject and the course number. Below that are 2 little check boxes. The first checkbox is the one that I recommend searching for unless you want to look at waitlisted classes as well. It's okay to sign up for a waitlisted. You can only sign up for 6 credits of waitlisted classes at a time. So that's typically 2 classes. It only lets you do that. If you are enrolled in the same class you are waitlisted for, it will not get you into your waitlisted class. So if you're enrolled in English 101, but you really want this section that's waitlisted, the system will go, oh, you're already enrolled, never mind, and then it deletes you from the wait list if you get to number 1. So if there's a class you really want on a wait list, don't enroll into that same class. But if you are okay with what's open and available, then you at least guarantee your spot in those classes. Okay, so waitlisting is a gamble in Las Vegas. Okay, all right, show open classes only. If you specifically want to look at Henderson, you can change the location to Henderson. If you want to look at online options, leave it blank. So only do the location if you want to look at a specific location, which is Henderson, not Henderson downtown, just Henderson. We might have some options. If you leave it blank, it'll show every single class at every single campus and satellite campus that we have. So if you happen to be close to Green Valley High School, we do have a Green Valley Center. They do also sometimes have classes there in math and English mostly, sometimes art, but the majority of it is used for paramedic medicine. But there might be some options there. So those are options too for you within the Henderson. So Henderson campus, Green Valley, online. If you want to travel to another campus, that is completely up to you all and your family and your support team, how you get there.
We
usually do not recommend that the first year.
There you go.
The campuses can be pretty far in traffic and driving and all that, so we typically recommend Henderson only campus for your first year.
Yep. There you go. All right, next. Okay, so as you search, so once you go down and you search, it's gonna show you again all of the sections available, and you're gonna go through and choose the section that is that you want, that you're looking at, that'll fit your schedules. Typically, if you are taking math with Pinecrest, you can start at 11, right?
Yeah.
Or yeah, but if you're taking math with CSN, you can start.
It depends on how many classes they have here. So everybody I met with has been given kind of an estimate whether you could take a 9:30 class or an 11 o'clock class
Okay,
or
so
later.
yeah, so go based off your high school schedule. Make sure you get yourself enough time to get from here to there, for your in-person classes.
So if you're only taking one class on campus at Pinecrest, then you're done by 8:20 or 8:30. You can get to a 9:30 class. But if you're taking two classes at Pinecrest, you gotta wait till like at least 11, because you can't get from here at 9:20 to a class there at 9:30. There's not enough time.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're looking at classes, so the first column, the class and the section. So the class number and the section. The section is really important to look at because you want it to say regular. Regular means that it is a full 16-week course. That is a full semester course. For your first semester, that is what we recommend. If it says 8-week 1, 8-week 2, 4-week 1, 2, 3, or 4, those are very fast-paced courses because it's the same amount of credit, the same amount of work in a shorter setting. So we like to try to avoid those your first term. If you're thinking about one, please have a conversation with Ms. Cox before enrolling. Okay? So make sure it says regular. That regular, the meeting dates will be from August to December. If the meeting dates are to August to October or October to December, then you for sure know it's an 8-week class. Okay, if it's a shorter time, it's even shorter because 4-week classes, we do have them. They're very fast paced. Okay? Then you can see this whole list here is web online. So web online will always say TBA in the days and times. It'll not have, remember those are the traditional online courses that will not have any days or times listed. It'll always say TBA and it'll never be announced. I don't know why they put TBA, but it'll always say TBA. And then it says web online tells you who the teacher is, the meeting dates. If it's green, if there's a green circle, it is an open class. If it's a yellow triangle, it is waitlisted. If it's a blue box, square, it is closed. Okay? So making sure if you click that open classes only, it'll only show you the green circles. Okay? On your version, next to the green circle is a select button. I don't have that option. So you can, yeah. Once you are ready, you're gonna select that class. So go to the next one. So this one shows you remote learning. So that's the web remote course where it does have days and times listed. And then if it's in person, it'll tell you what campus location. So it'll say Henderson, West Charleston, North Las Vegas, Green Valley Center, so on and so forth in the location. Okay, so then once you're ready, go down. So you'll select that button. Once you select a class, it's gonna show you the class notes and the class description. It's gonna show you all the details of that class before you put it in your shopping cart. I highly recommend that you read what those class notes are to make sure, like communications, like I said, that a lot of the time they'll put in the class notes. If you're taking this online, you're gonna have to come. Sometimes they make you come to campus once a semester to do your speeches. Sometimes they make you record yourself online. It really just depends on the professor, but they're supposed to put those in the class notes. So any special details of a class will be in those class notes. And then the course description of the course so you can read what the class is about. Okay? Once you're ready, then you'll put next, and then that will go into your shopping cart. And then you can modify your search. So it keeps, if you modify your search, it'll keep all your same parameters. If you would rather start over and do a new search and then put in the term again and the course and the modality, whatever, you can do new search as well. Once you have all those classes in your shopping cart, you will click on shopping cart at the top. So your shopping cart will always show at the top. You can view all just to view it while you're still searching for other classes. Excuse me. Once you're ready to enroll, you'll click on shopping cart and then it'll look like that with little check boxes. So just like online shopping, you're checking to make sure you got the right stuff in the cart, right? Which classes you want, you can delete out ones that you put in there that you decided you didn't want, you can add more, whatever the case may be. Your cart is there for you to plan that schedule out. Your cart does not mean you are enrolled though. So once you're ready, you're gonna check box all those classes and you're gonna click enroll. You're gonna double check it's what you want, you're gonna finish enrolling, and once you're finished enrolling, you should have all green check marks. When you have that green check mark, you are officially enrolled in a college class. Yay! If you get a red X for whatever reason, it'll tell you why. Why did you get a red X? Is there a hold on your account? Did you not meet the prerequisite to the course? You know, if there's an issue with the hold, you can, again, ask myself or Ms. Cox what that means. Send me a screenshot of what you're looking at, and we can figure it out from there. But usually the details will tell you exactly what happened. Okay?
And it will not let you finish enrolling right now. It will not
Yeah.
let you do that until your enrollment day and time.
Yeah, so if you were to try to do it now, it'll say not active enrollment appointment time or something like that. But you can go through the process and see what it looks like. You just will get red X's. Okay? Okay. So first semester requirements, I did put this slide on here. So you are, like I said, you're required to take the math if you're in the math at college, the English 101, the Comm 101, and the ALS 101. I also added some other recommended first semester classes based on general education requirements. So if you're interested in taking a science, but usually you'll start your sciences next spring, but if you want to get ahead of the game, astronomy, you have an approved science list from Ms. Cox, so I think I put all those in there. Geography, biology, physics, those are all current science classes that don't have a prerequisite. What did I put? Humanities, you have your Comm 101, and then I put a slew of things. Anthropology, philosophy 101, a world language. We have so many different world languages at CSN that you can look into if you're interested in a language. We just added Hawaiian, so we have Hawaiian in there. There's a lot. There's a lot. And then fine arts, art, dance, music, photography, theater. Those are the typical fine art classes. You typically only need one fine art for the degrees. So just choose one of those if you're interested. And then social sciences like psychology, sociology, women's studies, criminal justice. Those are all first semester great options. As a reminder, so academic advisors can only advise you on college classes. I always recommend making sure you speak with your high school counselor, Ms. Cox, before enrolling in next semester to make sure you know what you're going to be taking before you meet with that academic advisor. Because we don't advise on the high school side and we advise on the college side, right? So just making sure. There is a video at the bottom of here that will show you everything I just walked through with you on how to search and enroll in classes. So if you're more of a visual entity, you want to do it along with a video, it is right there. And then if I didn't put the link in there, but I can put it in there again, is the My CSN Student Guides also has paper copies of each step-by-step of how to search and then how to enroll in classes. Okay?
I think something else with searching for your classes, some people like to look up information about professors, so there are websites where you can search. It's called Rate My Professor. I just suggest that you take that with a grain of salt, because everybody has their opinion, and that's what you're getting. You're just getting a bunch of other students' opinions about the teacher, and they don't always align exactly with maybe what your vision or need for classes. So like one strong example is there's a teacher that only does tests for his grading. And so you take 4 tests and your whole grade's based on the test. So for some students, you're like, yes, that's awesome. Like I would love to just take tests and not have a bunch of busy work. And then some students would love that and some students would hate that. So he often has really bad reviews on his account because it's only tests, but for some people that's like really awesome. So I suggest reading through the comments and it's specifically seeing like why the reviews are the way that they are, because that may not be something that matters to you as much as it mattered to that one person. And then sometimes, you know, one person has a really bad experience and then they leave a scathing remark, and that was one person out of who knows how other many that had a good thing to say that didn't say it. So just keep that in mind that, you know, it's not the end all be all. It can give you an idea of some of the things that you're interested in, but it should not be like the Bible. And sometimes you just have to get a class when you can get a class, and do your best with the teacher. You know, communication with your teacher is key, especially if you're, you know, confused on something. Then that's always good. You can always make it work even in a bad situation. So,
And utilizing those resources.
yes.
Tutoring center, the librarians are a big help. They're amazing at Henderson. They will help you. Okay? Okay, so dates, deadline, policy. Go ahead. So open enrollment, like I said, should start May 21st. So technically you have from May 21st to August 31st, which is 1 week after the semester starts on August 25th, to enroll or change your schedule if there's open classes. August 31st is the last day that you can enroll in a 16-week course. It is also the very last day that you can drop the course for 100% refund. That means if you are dropping the course, you wouldn't have to, by August 31st, you wouldn't have to pay anything. It'll be like you never enrolled in the class. Okay? We at CSN have a drop and a withdraw policy timeline. So that drop deadline, so 100% that first week. The second week, so from September 1st to September 7th, is the 50% drop deadline. You can still drop your class. There will be no W on your transcript. It would be like you never took it, however, or you never signed up for it, but you would owe 50% of the course. Okay? So that, keep that in mind. After September 7th through October 31st is our withdraw period. If you and Ms. Cox, you have talked to Ms. Cox first before you drop or withdraw anything, because she also has to make sure you're on track for high school graduation. Talk about it first. If you decide that that's what you're doing, you have until October 31st to withdraw. Withdraw will put a W on your CSN transcript. It will not affect your CSN GPA. However, I will say that if you have too many W's in the future and you're trying to get federal aid through FAFSA, financial aid, it could hurt you in the long run. So could F's. Okay. So just keep that in mind. An F will go towards your GPA, but a W wouldn't. So sometimes a W is the better way to go. But talk to all of us, talk to advising, talk to your support system before that makes your decision, okay? After October 31st, there's no more withdrawing. You will get that letter grade that you have earned, A through F. Okay? So the link to the CSN calendar is on this slide. I would be familiar with it. I would print it out. I would highlight all the important dates. Not all of them will pertain to you, but I would highlight all the important dates that would, like the drop deadlines for 16-week classes. Now, if you're taking 8-week courses, those dates are different. You cannot enroll into an 8-week one class past August 24th. You can drop it within that first week for 50% refund. That 100% refund is before the class even starts. So 8 weeks are very different, so you have to pay attention. In the calendar, there's a session calendar that gives you 16-week, 8-week 1, 8-week 2. It gives you different dates for all the sessions. So that might be more visually better for some of us. And then if not, there's a whole printout or just on there dates by first come, first come in order. Sorry, words today. So definitely please pay attention to that CSN calendar and please follow up before you think about dropping or withdrawing on classes. The goal is to have your schedule set before August even starts. Now, if the wait list, so a wait list, I think August 4th they said was the payment deadline. Other students that don't have that protection hold, if they don't pay within that first week after August 4th, so by that Friday, 4, 5, 6, 7, like August 8th, right? They're gonna start getting dropped from classes. So if you are on a wait list, that'll be the time that you'll probably get in if you're 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 spots in. If you are not enrolled off the wait list after that first week, the gambling odds go way down. So try to get into all green, get your spot into classes that before August 11th, I think is when you start class. August 11th? Yeah. Try to get in before you start coming back to school on August 11th. Okay? You, like I already started wait list, you can only do 2 at a time. Yeah. Okay. Next. Okay. This is the dual enrollment waiver for the next 3 years that NSHE has approved. So next year we are going up to $87.50 per credit. So if you are paying for a course out of your pocket, depending on how many credits you're paying, that is $87.50 per credit. Plus there's a technology fee, $11.50 per credit. So it's about $99 per credit for a course at CSN. If it has a special fee, so in those class notes I was talking about, those class notes will also tell you if there's a special fee for the class. Like an Art 101 class might have a special $25 fee for your art supplies, or
Some of the labs.
some
have
of the
like a
science
$45
labs.
fee.
Yeah. So pay attention to that because that is also something you would pay for that the school doesn't pay for. Right? Do you pay for
If it's like their own class.
Yeah.
If we pay for it, if it's one.
Okay, yeah,
science
yeah.
one or
So if you're
something.
paying on your own, that's part of it. Question.
This is all in the email, right?
Yep. Yeah. If you are taking an online course, there is an additional $15 per course charged. So again, if Pinecrest is paying for it, don't worry about it. But if you are taking an additional online class on your own, then that would be on top of that $99 per credit. Okay. And then of course you have textbooks. So those textbooks are also the next fees. So this is, like I said, the dual enrollment pricing. This is only for fall and spring semester. For summer tuition, I put the link to our tuition and fees on here. Summer tuition is on there for now, and then it probably next summer will go up a couple dollars. It usually does. So those prices are on there as well. If you're taking summer classes, those other fees that are listed on our tuition and fees page, those are added to your tuition. So like I said, summer is not discounted in any way, shape, or form. You pay all of the fees that any other student would pay. If it's fall or summer, summer. In fall and spring, it is discounted. Okay? If you qualify for free and reduced lunch, which is FRL, that has to come from Ms. Cox. Whatever documentation you submit for Pinecrest, she will have, then she tells us yes or no. If you do qualify for that, then that pricing will go down on that FRL side. Okay?
So I will be sending a document for permission for the FRL. So if you think you qualify or potentially qualify for that, then it's just a form that you're signing that gives me permission to let CSN know that information. And if it benefits you and it benefits us as well, because we get to pay less tuition for your student, and then if you're paying out of pocket for any classes, then you're also paying less tuition as well. So I will be sending that out in an email in the next couple of weeks.
If we're paying for extra classes,
So it won't be due until I tell you. So like I said, we're gonna process the billing. So what Pinecrest is paying for first. So if I can get that done before November, then that's where we'll send out an email that says, hey, you can now go pay for your college courses in my CSN. Because we want to remove the amount they're paying for so that you know exactly how much you're paying for too. And then you can also do the calculations. but I don't want you to pay for anything until we figure the billing out on our end first. Okay? You will definitely pay it by the end of by mid-December. Okay? Yeah.
If we're taking that big class, do we enroll all in once on the 21st and then just
Yes.
pay it later?
Yes, enroll in all of your classes, whether Pinecrest is paying for it or you're paying for it. Enroll in all of your classes at the same time. Get your spots. Yeah, because like I said, you'll have that good hold on your account. It'll prevent you from being dropped from classes. Okay, for non-payment. Okay. All right. Here's a very fun one. So last fall, the administration of CSN updated a policy, and I'm calling it the non-participation policy. I did link the policy in there and where it is at. But essentially what this policy says is CSN professors have the right to drop a student the second week of school if they did not participate in the first week of school. And this is for an in-person and online classes. And online classes seem to be the most struggle with this, especially for high school students this last year. So what that means is that first week, if you're in an online class, please participate. Please submit whatever assignments are due that first week. That is Monday through Sunday. That is considered the first week of school. By Monday, the professors start dropping. And that is the second week of school, so that means that you could be dropped and still owe 50%. Yeah. It's a thing. Sorry. So, I've also been kind of recommending that you, when you submit assignments that first week in online classes, take screenshots for proof. Because if errors happen, this is a very manual process right now. If a professor accidentally dropped you and you have that proof, you send that to them and they'll put you right back in the class. Okay? To back yourself up is what I'm saying. Have the proof that you submitted the assignment. Okay? If you did not participate and you want to own that and you want to still try to get back into the course, there is a form and it's linked at the bottom. I know it's kind of small writing, I'm sorry. Reinstatement request form. So on that form, you're acknowledging that you did not participate. You're writing a statement. I will do well in this class if you put me back into this class. This is what happened the first week, whatever the case may be. If the professor and the department chair agrees, they will sign that, send that to the registrar's office, and they will reinstate you into the class. If they refuse to sign it, that is their choice. So that's why I'm saying if you have the documentation, you have the backup, you have a fighting chance. But if you have no proof, it's you said versus they say, unfortunately. And that's what we've been dealing with these last 2 semesters. This has only been in process for 2 semesters. So you're going into the 3rd round of this new policy. Okay? Did you want to add anything on that, or?
I don't know. Please just do your work.
Do
the
your work.
first week, please.
Show up that first week.
To be honest, like, because it's still new, we're figuring it out, but I this time we will be charging any students that have to do it. So this first time around, it was all new. We paid for it when mistakes happen, but if you don't do the work that first week and you get dropped, then we will be charging you for that. So, because we have to pay the 50% if that happens. So as long as you're being responsible, getting everything done, doing your work, then there's no problems. So.
Okay. The next policies I like to highlight is the avoiding disruptive behavior and academic integrity. These are college classes. You should be behaving like college students. You should not be bullying. You should not be disrupting the teacher or any of your peers. You should be kind and respectful and conduct yourself in a respectable manner. That is expected. We have a behavioral policy. If you are causing any issues, you could be sent up the chain for, I forget what it's called, disciplinary action. Thank you. Same goes for plagiarism. That's a lot of, the majority of my high school students that have this sort of issue is about plagiarism. And it's just because you have to utilize, you have to cite your resources. You have to use your MLA or APA formatting when you're doing your papers. That's where the librarians, that's where the Centers of Academic Success can really help you and make sure that you are avoiding those type of things. You can't just throw some stuff in a paper and call it yours. You have to cite your resources, cite your journals, cite where you got the information from. Okay? You cannot submit the same paper or the same assignment for 2 different classes. Don't do it. You'll get caught. ChatGPT. Don't do it. Or utilize it again in a way that you can cite something. Make it your own. Okay? That will also send you, if you're caught, up to disciplinary action. So you would essentially have to plead your case in front of an unbiased committee where you and the professor have to submit your statement. And then the committee would decide your next steps. Okay? You don't want to do that. That's intimidating. That's scary. I don't want to do that. So yeah, read those policies. Make sure you're following what the assignments are, what is expected, the rubrics of each assignment. Make sure you know what's expected of you and utilize those resources. Okay? Okay. Alright, so next steps. So once you search and enroll in your classes, definitely make sure you provide your high school schedule to Ms. Cox. She needs to record that too in our roster. We'll kind of be going through it throughout the summer and then as well as once you get back. I don't do a confirmed check until after the first week of school. So that's when I know or second week of school for us. That's when I know you're officially in those classes you had. That's where I can see if you were dropped for non-participation. That's where I can see if what classes you're officially in. But always make sure that Ms. Cox is updated on what you have on your schedule. Okay? If you have any AP tests that you're passing or you might get those scores this summer and you get a 3 or higher, send those to CSN. That could take away some of those 20 classes that you need to take for an associate's. So we accept a good chunk of AP. If for any reason you took another dual enrollment class somewhere else, like you're new to Pencrest or something, send that over to us too. But AP is usually the bigger one. You can wait to declare your major until you meet with an advisor in the fall semester. That's not really a priority at the moment, but if that's something you choose to do, you can, like I said, do that in your MyCSN, but you will officially do that with an academic advisor if you're going for an associate's this fall. Even if you're not going for an associate's, for some reason the college has now put holds on accounts after 30 credits if you haven't declared a major, so just declare something. Doesn't mean you have to get it. An AA general is perfect, okay, so that you can avoid that hold. Don't know why, but yeah. Okay? Cool. And I think that is it for me. So I will open it up to questions.